Look at that face, looking very puzzled.
Hello, everyone. We're just getting the streams all going here. I rolled into the office, not too bright and not too early, after 9 days of vacation.
Do community members actually get vacations?
They do as long as they don't tell anyone about it, which is, no, I'm kidding. Uh, or am I? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Court of the Rings here on twitch.tv/LotroStream, youtube.com/Lord of the Rings/live, and facebook.com/Lotro. I'm Lotro's long-absent community manager, Cordovan. Now I'm just absent-minded, and I am here with Druid's Fire. How you doing?
I'm extremely tired, but I'm here.
Yep,
Live from Mythmoot.
Yes, live from Mythmoot. For those who don't know, what the heck is a Mythmoot?
Mythmoot is the annual main convention or academic conference run by Signum University, Professor Corey Olson's little endeavor to overturn the...
You mean of National Enquirer or Inside Edition fame?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Professor Corey of National
Yeah.
Inside Edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, apparently, has Stephen Colbert as one of his actual daily listeners.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a cool time for a bunch of Lord of the Rings and quite a large population of Lord of the Rings online players to hang out and have fun and things like that too. I assume if you look up Mythmoot, you can find out a whole lot more about it. But that's where you are today, and nonetheless,
So
you
Gravity.
have in Gravity. But nonetheless, you have deigned to join me over at least voice chat here.
Oh yeah. It's one of us is in game right now, and it's not you.
Yes. So I actually did roll in a full 6 minutes early before the show began here. I can tell you what I've been doing, which is visiting my mother. I can tell you what I've not been doing, which is logging into the forums, and I apologize for that. So I was made aware when I was coming back from my vacation that there's kind of a forum thread out there that basically saying, anyone there? Knock, knock, hello? So I wanted to just kind of informally talk a little bit about that here today, just to help people understand how it works. So I don't take too much vacation. I really don't take much vacation. Usually I lose more vacation because I'm maxed out on the amount of vacation I accrue, and I just lose it because whatever. I love my job and I love what I do. But occasionally I want to actually take a vacation. And it is true that one of the ways to not only make it more difficult for myself to take a vacation, but then also to perhaps paint a target on my employer, is to not let people know that I'm on vacation, right? If word gets out real quick that I'm gone for 9 days, there can be consequences, and sometimes those consequences can be a right pain in the hiney. So typically I try to kind of ghost out a little bit when I go on vacation, and that works for that specific issue. But then of course it brings up the issue, which, because you have not been made aware that I'm on vacation or what have you, it seems like I just kind of disappear off the face of the earth and people just stop talking for no reason or whatever. And so, I recognize that it can be frustrating on the end user experience sometimes. But nonetheless, that's where I was, and I do want to thank the fine folks who were able to step up. I saw some Made Alliance postings and things like that too, so I know that they were not going above and beyond their regular job duties, as it were, to try to help out while I was gone. So I want to thank everyone for doing that. And I do want to thank everyone for being cool. Overall, it seemed like it was things went generally fine. We had a couple of hot fixes, a couple other things. Because I did just get back from a long vacation, I'm less on top of the day-to-day than I typically am. Like I said, I haven't even logged into the forums yet, because I was back on the world's longest train ride. I had a good time, but yeah, long time on a train and then a lot of recuperating, and I've rolled into the office today, so welcome everyone.
So, did you bring any of those adorable kittens you posted on Instagram back with?
No, I couldn't. Don't think I didn't think about it. But I did specifically look up Amtrak's pet policy and determined that I was not eligible.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a road trip in way.
Okay, so the one issue I am aware of, having discussed it a little bit with some, like Red Panda and some folks this morning, is a question from Mr. Alexman13P on YouTube. Hey, Cordovan, why did you remove cosmetics from Ember Quartermasters? They didn't come with the, you say sessional, but I think you mean seasonal barters release, which means it was not part of seasonal cosmetics. So I know that that came as a bit of a surprise to some folks, and perhaps that indicates that we needed to do a better job on messaging it. I know it was in the release notes, and I believe we had an announcement post in the forums a while back, January, February, something, kind of explaining how these NPCs were going to work, that they would be rotating in and out, and they're currently out. That said, we are looking at your feedback, and we will kind of see what we need to do in the coming days here. But the intention is that, say, like Filbert Fig and that, not stick around. They're coming in and out, not just in what they offer, but in their which NPC is even there, that kind of thing. So that is the announced intention. But I understand it did bring come as quite a surprise to some folks. So.
Is Rowan Raspberry, I believe her name is?
Yep. All right. Like I said, I'm trying to get questions I can actually answer, because like I say, I am kind of coming back on some things. But like I said, I did make sure to follow up on that. And someone did bring my attention to the fact that there's a thread out there like, hey, what happened to SSG? How come you guys aren't talking as much as usual? And so I wanted to make sure I kind of got that out of the way. That sometimes if I kind of ghost for a little bit, it's probably because I'm on vacation. But don't tell anybody. So.
I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
I told the whole world.
Cool, and I'm about ready to get in game here. Oh, 104 degrees. So before I get in game, I did want to mention that when I did get back, I got back to a really kind present. And this was a package gift from the Kinship, The Blade Reforged, and Linnathorn in particular. And sent me a really nice letter, just kind of saying thanks for everything we do on the Lord of the Rings team. They gave me a really kind little plaque, kind of recognizing me for a community manager, and I appreciate that. And a couple of little kind of things that are in the office. So anyway, thank you very much. You know, we never solicit anything like that. Typically, I would suggest not, but if you do feel like it, you know, I want to recognize kindness when it is given.
So, in reference to recognition, I have a question I was voluntold to ask you last night by your predecessor ×2 when he was getting himself killed repeatedly in Breland because I wasn't there. Sapiens would like to know who has custody of the Guinness World Book Record certificate that Locho earned for its music system.
I could speculate as to who has it.
Well,
but I don't actually know. I don't believe that I have personally seen that. It certainly hasn't been part of the marketing swag and, you know, kind of purview to keep tabs on. You know, like some of the artwork and that kind of ended up in our pit as a safe zone, so to speak. And I haven't seen it there during any of the transition times. But I'm sure that it probably went along with like the BAFTA and stuff in kind of a side room of keepsakes. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I think there was a trophy case at one
Mm-hmm.
point, and it was supposed to be there. So
Yeah.
that would be something cool to find and show off because our music community kicks some serious.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to try to log in now. Do I use a green screen behind me? I actually do on Lotro here. I'm not the best green screener in the world, but I kind of like it. Any info about the new upcoming 6-person instance or anything about the 64-bit client bug fixes? On the latter, I know that our engineering team has been working to... Oh, come on. There we go. This isn't going well. My admin client just wants to download, which means it's going to break the admin client. Yay. Fine, I will vamp for a while longer. On the 64-bit client, the engineering team has been cataloging sort of bugs, prioritizing bugs, and working on solutions to said bugs. I don't have an ETA on when the next 64-bit client kind of patchwork will be, but it'll be sooner rather than later. We are working to make improvements and fix some of those bugs as they come in. So it's specifically related to like the sound, the instance crash issues, a few things like that. So on the upcoming 6-person instance, remind me which one that would be. One with update 24, is that the one we're talking about here? Or are we talking about the summer festival or something like that?
Well, no, the summer festival's already been underway, so
Yeah,
I presume it's the the update to the...
Yeah, okay. So that should be in the nearish future, I would think. Within the next couple of months it should be out. So no news on an updated feature instance box run rotation, although we are aware that featured instances, can get updated here, and I would imagine we'll do that at some point. Any of the odds we could get the Figments of Splendor currency cap increased? Not at this time. Sorry, Sarnalith over on Twitch. We have that cap in place specifically so that the system meets what we need it to do long term. And I think we would have to be exceptionally careful were we to increase that cap. I won't ever say never or anything, but certainly at the moment, I can't imagine a scenario where we would want to do that. This last update did not come with release notes in the launcher. Any way to find out what was in it? Maybe. I will look that up while I can here. I know that there was kind of a unplanned patch, as it were. And unfortunately, I don't know. I was not here, right? I assume that would be 24.1.2, is that correct?
Yep. Patch notes are in chat, in Twitch chat.
Okay. The players will now get advancement credit for the seasonal instance, the Coins of the Rift quest, while defeated. I thought, actually, yes, I did see that, and that's why I raised the question about which 6-person instance you were talking about. I was not aware of the Norcon First, but that's because I've been out. So yes, that was probably one of the main reasons for the kind of unplanned patch, is to make sure that that works correctly with the seasonal instance. Otherwise, Singing Bowl of Tower Lindau. Housing decoration item now requires appropriate housing permissions to use. Bowl of Raspberries. Housing deco can be placed in a small yard hook in addition to small interior hook Housing and music boxes can be acquired from the Wild Folk Rewards Quartermaster. Oh yeah, some new cosmetic items in the Adventurers and Travelers loot boxes. Corrected a icon issue with a Summer Steed. Descriptions of a couple of things. Some crafted relics for the Supreme tier have had their stats adjusted to be more comparable to non-crafted relics. I understand that was a fairly contentious thing maybe in the community as well. I know that I have some research work to do coming back on some specific crafting concerns that were raised while I was gone. And then, as we listen to the notes, Filbert Fig and Curator have returned home for the season, as previously announced, but perhaps too long ago. So the stand for 64-bit update is to hope for release next week, so the post at forum from Lord of the Squids. Cool. If Lord of the Squids made a post about an update to the 64-bit client, that sounds great. I know it's incoming soon. It's just a matter of when the stuff all gets kind of formally signed off on and able to do.
He said you guys hope to have it deployed early next week. It said this will not resolve a sound-related crash that some players are seeing. We're still working on that. Some players said they have addressed the issue by updating their sound drives, but we like to avoid anyone having to do that. It's also not going to resolve a crash when tabbing out of full screen mode using DirectX. No.
Yep. All right. Otherwise, I'm trying to figure out what else maybe I should be caught up on. Oh, I have actually one kind of really interesting announcement. Well, so I can't make a formal announcement yet until I talk to someone who is not in the office today. But while I was gone, I heard very positive news about a meetup in Indianapolis during Gen Con. So stay tuned for deets.
Gen Con. Speaking of Gen Con, I have an inordinate number of dice here with me today because I'll be playing some Lord of the Rings tabletop this evening with Richard Rowland and one of the devs from Cubicle 7 who created the One Ring tabletop set. That'll be at 7 o'clock on the Sigma Mu channel. And then at 9 or thereabouts, we're going to try not to get Corey killed in the Vales of Anduin. He's going sightseeing. This is going to be amazing.
Cool. Oh, we did also have an issue identified on, I believe, legendary servers with something that Tiber was able to locate and fix. There was some kind of a, is it deed that wasn't procking correct? Something
The
like that?
mysterious relics deed wasn't creating itself correctly.
Yeah, there
And
you go.
she is going to sort because Tiber is freaking out.
All right. Yeah, exactly. That's the right person to be doing the research on it. So I trust it is in good hands. I don't really have any news about the upcoming 6-person instance other than what Lord of the Squids has on the forums. Oh, gosh. Why?
How is it that I have a better connection from stupid, really bad hotel Wi-Fi than you do from y'all?
I know. It's because I'm trying to do complicated things.
By the way,
Like
I'm
maintain version control between an admin and a non-admin client.
By the way, I'm never going to complain about getting lost in Moria again. You guys have no idea how bad or how awful the layout is here at the National Conference Center. It is a labyrinth. I want some string to lead my, tied to a post someplace to make sure I can get back.
Yeah. You know, I don't think I'm getting in today. I'm just gonna have to. I'm gonna have to sick someone on this goofy live client thing. So I think I will just do a short session here of Q&A and then probably let it go for a bit. I don't know.
Oh, cool. I could actually get to the keynote at 1 o'clock on time. Sweet.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. So I guess, I mean, honestly, I've said most of the news that I know about right now. I'm clearly back on today rather than Monday because I need to get caught up on some things. So hopefully I'll have some more specific answers to your questions in the near future. Do we think cosmetic versions of some of the Veil's armor appearances could show up for Figments of Splendor as was done with the Grey Mountain set? I would say, Sarnalith, that I don't have anything to confirm, but that sounds like something they probably would have thought of when doing the work. So I would say the odds are fairly high that something like that might be possible. A dev diary on the Virtue system. Yes, that has come up. That came up before my break, and that is something I expect we're going to want to do. But I don't know where we sit on it. The other piece I could mention is I was hoping to get out before my break the soundtrack for Update 24 and get it all up on YouTube. But unfortunately, as I was rushing ahead toward vacation, I made an error when trying to render the video. And so unfortunately, I got lots of static images of the Update 24 splash screen, but not music. So I'm going to have to kind of reprocess that, and that was just not something I had the available hours to do prior to heading out on vacation. But that should be coming in the near future as well.
Beautiful music from Brass Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to confirm who's doing the music for Minas Morgul?
No. Only because I don't know. I mean, I could speculate on that as well, but I probably shouldn't.
I don't need to speculate. I know who's doing it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. Am I allowed to say, though?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on how you found out about it. I'm not aware, so.
Well, the reason I found out about it is because somebody tweeted about it publicly, or not, they didn't say it specifically, but their tweet was like, why are you doing that? So I sent them a DM and they confirmed that's what they were doing.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like we should just leave that private for now. Mm-hmm. All right, Stefan over on Facebook, when planning to make the voice sounds for the parchments of the old elves in Vales of Anduin, on Bullroar they had their sounds. I believe that the issue on that is a localization issue, is that correct? It's specific to the German game client? Or are they just missing altogether even in English?
They're missing altogether in English as well.
Okay, then it's probably a matter of... I'll have to follow up on it. But if they were already in Bullroar, it seems like probably more of an oversight than anything else.
Kind of like that, the steed that can be used in Moria until Tiber fixed.
Anya over on Facebook says, is it possible to add some kind of passive skill, Light of Arendelle, in the future? I think that, something like that might be possible with, like, say, the new Virtue system, things like that. Nothing to announce, but, if the needs are there, that might be an opportunity. So I wouldn't say never on that. Do you think you can do more skill bars if you only have 6 of them? I feel your pain. But doesn't the plugins, are there plugins that address that, don't they?
I think there are plugins, and I'm afraid of them because Pablo apparently plays DDO, where you have so many skill bars, they cover the entire window.
Yeah, that's me. So.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Endgame Warden DPS update, Ashley. I can say that last I heard, I know that Vastin was planning to do some class work in the short term after kind of one specific task got completed. So I don't know which classes he ended up working on nor what the changes are, but I would expect that we would see some class work in the relatively near future.
Vastin is cool beans.
Mm-hmm.
also showed me what Weathertop looks like under the hood, and if it's bad enough when Weatherstock, which is coming up July 20th and will be streamed right here, um, having like 50 million players in that zone is bad enough, but all the mechanics in stuff that's under the hood that we don't normally see makes it a lot worse. So it's
Hey,
actually not the best place to...
speaking of cool things that are coming up, we can talk about these titles
Yeah, well, I've decided I'm the title fairy.
just for now, but yeah.
Well, yeah, for now. But well, Elda has been the title fairy because she's had like a metric ton of old extra life titles she's been handing out on her streams. But we do have some new titles coming into the game, mainly related to music events.
No, that's not actually true, but the only ones you've seen are mainly related to music events.
Oh, share the news.
Well, let me call it up here. So.
Am I gonna be your guinea pig again?
All right. So, long and short of it, we've long had requests for player event specific titles, and yet we've been in a position where we've been a little hesitant to want to support with like individual naming of events. Now, that did happen back in the day with Weatherstock, but I think there's one with Harnkegger too, right? But there's largely, we've kind of tried to avoid doing that because once you kind of open that door, it can quickly become overwhelming. And then you run into issues of what happens if, things don't go very well with an event or whatever, right? There's just concerns about trying to do a whole bunch of those things. But we've long wanted to do title systems for player events and things like that, and we've been able to do that. So coming up, I think debuting with Weatherstock, but will be used beyond, are a series of titles that we have the ability to make coupon codes against and then send them out in the same way like we do Lochero kind of point giveaways and things like that. So that means that we can give a stash of 100 codes to something like Weatherstock so that they can hand these out to the bands and things like that during their own work on their own event if they want. Titles such as event organizer, event winner, musician as a prefix, musician as a suffix, spectator, artist as a prefix, artist as a suffix, provider of event information. Specifically, this is going to be helpful to people who are like NPCs, so to speak, for player events, who are there to just kind of answer questions about where and when and how. We have concert attendees, specifically. I wanted to make one for spectator, one for attendee, and one for audience member, even though they're all kind of similar, just because they might have individual uses that seemed good. What if you didn't consider yourself an audience, you were a spectator? What if you were in the audience, but it was a play rather than a concert, that kind of thing. So I've made up a bunch. Concert attendee, viewer of events, speaker for the musicians. The thought of that might be something like, people speaking on behalf of a nonverbal musical group or something like that, or perhaps the lead singer if someone wanted to do that.
Or an MC.
Yep, or an MC. And then the next one's striving for victory. That, my thinking would be something along the lines of, like, say, a Harnkegger participant, something like that, some kind of maybe PvP tournament or whatever it is that you want to have people vying for victory on. Speaker of words, my thinking on that would be people who are doing lectures or poetry, things of that nature.
Corey needs one.
Performer of note, that might be something, because I didn't want to have like concert winner or something like that. It just seemed a little odd, specifically with the lore of Middle-earth perhaps a little bit. So I felt that performer of note maybe fit a little better. Then we have audience member. We do have Harnkegger, and we have art lover, which it would be for some kind of probably screenshot contest, whether it be run on social media or on the forums or elsewhere. So there we go. These are all largely ready to go, and they're going to make their debut on Weatherstock, but will not be exclusive to said event. They will be rolling out big time, I think, assuming that people want them and ask me about them. And the best way to get a stash for your event is to private message me on the Lochero forums.
I was going to do something nefarious with a couple of titles before Weatherstock, but yeah.
Hmm. Anyway, those are the ones we got, so don't ask for more. No, I'm kidding. But that was a situation where we had a specific. I was able to basically bend the ear of a specific developer who also recognized this kind of long-term desire in the community and had just enough time to kind of make it happen on the down low almost. Not down low exactly, but
We gave Aiden of the Lonely Mountain Band, who is our liaison for Weatherstock this year, the speaker of the musician's title, and he's been wearing it. It's gotten a lot of interest, so um, we might have a musician's war going on to see who can earn that title.
Chris over on Facebook is specifically having an issue with the Lord of the Rings online client for our Mac OS solution, which is the Wine client. It sounds like you have been in touch with support, Chris, but please do make sure that you have a ticket in with support. That is our solution moving forward. So we are going to be continuing to support the Mac OS Wine client solution long term, and are deprecating the specific older client.
May as well, if you earn the title for Weatherstock, like any of these titles that we've mentioned so far are all account wide. So if you get them for showing up at Weatherstock, for example, you can use it on any of your characters on your.
Yeah, Maya as well is basically asking, what about titles for people that don't play on, say, the weather on Landrevolve, where Weatherstock's taken place? That's the reason I'm specifically saying they are debuting it, but it's not due to any kind of like promotional. It's just because they were first after we got this thing done, so that's why it made sense to roll it out there. But my intention and my expectation is that having announced these things, I'm going to be having a pretty full PM inbox in the next 6 months or so, with a lot of requests from players to give these out, and then in addition, it'll be something that I can give out through various methods, right? So there we go.
Technically, we could have done. There is actually an event coming up on Crick Hollow, the 4th, right out on the 5th, 6th, and 7th of July. One of the reasons why we weren't doing the rollout of the titles then is because since it's a 3-day music event, it's run by the Second Breakfast Kinship, led by Mr. Ponton Finberry, my personal stream bomber. Since it's not being hosted or streamed on the official, we couldn't really, since we wanted to start with like an official live stream event. That's why whether.
I think there may also have just been are we sure it's going to be ready in time? Maybe, kind of a thing going on. So.
Yeah. I won't be doing my show this afternoon, and neither will Corey, because we're again both at MythMoot. We will be on the Signa Mute channel tonight from 7 till the cleaners kick us out. And however, I will be streaming Shire Fest on my personal channel, twitch.tv/druidsfire, for as much of the weekend as I can. But since the first hour falls during my show here on the official, I'll simulcast it and be extremely nefarious.
Okay. So Chris is having some specific issues with the macOS Wine client solution. I get what you're saying about, hey, there's, are we going to support the Mac? The answer is yes. That's why we're doing this, right? We recognized that the older Mac OS client was untenable, and wanted to make it something that we could support long term. And so that is why we opted for what we did. I'm surprised you're having that kind of issue on a new Mac, because most new Macs seem to be running it just fine. So I don't know specifically what might be your technical issue, Chris, and I am not Mac savvy at all, so I can't provide any kind of technical support to help resolve it, other than the things that have been posted on the forums, which presumably you've read and have tried and have still not had it work for you. So my suggestion would be to perhaps start with a completely fresh install. Make sure that you are going absolutely from lotro.com/n/download, I think that's the URL, and nothing that's ever been sitting on your computer previously. I would suggest completely removing all of your Lord of the Rings Online installs, and try to basically get back to a point zero, as it were, and then try going fresh with that. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. Then that's beyond my capability to help you, and I apologize for that. At that point, please do get in touch, again, with technical support. All right. That's going to do it for the show. Thank you very much for being here, everyone. I will be back next Friday with a more regular kind of live stream where we'll be in game and things like that. We do, as you've been hearing, have some things going on, up to and including the Summer Festival. Hope you've been digging that. And stay tuned for things like previews and some probably patches here in the relatively near future. So, all right, have fun, everyone. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.